What's up, guys? I'm going to therapy, which means it's chaotic, unkempt energy time. So sit down, sit down, sit back, relax, get cozy with the chaotic energy. This is Mr. Peanut. Can you see him? If you are a part of my Discord, you know about Mr. Peanut lore. He's been banished to the garage. And I ran over him on accident when I was trying to get the bike free. But today I'm here to lose subscribers because I'm going to get real weird and real personal. It's not really anything I planned on divulging to a bunch of motorcycle fans, but here we are. So let's go to therapy. All right, guys, I posted a poll on my Patreon. And even when I post a poll on my YouTube, I'm always shocked by the results. So I put up a poll on my Patreon asking if you wanted to hear me vlog about either murder cases, all the alien news, there's a bunch of fun government alien news related stuff, or my personal journey with my mediumship, which I just like threw in there to be funny because I was like, nobody wants to hear that. I don't want to sit here and try to prove to y'all that I'm talking to ghosts and whatnot, but it is something that I've done. I had a mentorship with a really badass lady who is a no bullshit type of realist, which is the type of teacher I needed, about really evolving my abilities talking to dead people after I had some outrageously insane experiences that have no explanation. And guess what? You guys wanted to hear that. Which I'm like, okay. I was like really excited to talk about the UFO stuff, and I don't have a lot of vlogs left before I hang up my helmet for maternity leave, so I'm late for therapy too, so let's step on it. Okay, where do I start? So we know my dad. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to talk to you guys like you haven't been watching every episode, like a true VIP, like a diehard fan. But my dad, he was a machinist from Minnesota. I've lived in Texas for almost 10 years now, and he was always talking to me about moving down here. Finally, he's got a couple grandkids down here. He makes the move, which is awesome because, I don't know, if you've got a dad in the Midwest, they just, they're a lot of talk, not a lot of movement. He moves down here. He dies 3 months later, and it was tragic. It was devastating. It was a big blow because, like, me and my sister were so excited to have a grandparent come down and help with childcare and all that sort of stuff, and it was insane. It was insane. When anybody dies, it's insane. So remember that. After his death, you experienced an emotional trauma, especially the way he died in the hospital and very slowly because of COVID. It was very gruesome, and it was emotionally very taxing on me and everybody close to him. And it's motorcycle related, but I started to have a lot of anxiety. I started getting a lot of anxiety riding my bike. I started questioning how long I was going to live and my own mortality, and writing a will and doing that whole thing. So I was like, you know what, I've been through a lot. I think I really need to just take a night. Me and my husband Lucas will sit down, we'll really talk and kind of try to process and integrate all this trauma that's happened because motorcycle relieves my anxiety. I don't want to ride it and become more anxious. That is dangerous to me. That's another tangent that I could probably do for us riders, but it was interfering with my safety on the road. So I cannot believe I am telling this story because I've really only told maybe 3 people. And if I lose subscribers, it's low stakes. It's low stakes, you guys. I don't rely on this. This is a passion project. So we're talking, we're chatting, we're connecting, and suddenly, we're hanging out outside on an air mattress with the Bluetooth speaker, kind of like an outdoor therapy session. And suddenly I'm like talking to Lucas and I'm looking at him and he's like, what? And I was like, I don't know how to explain this, but I feel like I'm just gonna say stuff. And he's like, what's going on? What are you doing? I was like, dude, I don't know. I feel like your grandma's here and she needs you to, she just wanted to tell you that she's so proud of you. And Lucas, like the look on his face, because I had never done this. I had never just suddenly said, oh, hey, babe, all of your deceased grandparents, there's all these like really intrusive thoughts that are coming in and they have messages for you. I've never done that. And suddenly it was happening. And it was terrifying for me because it was so strange. It's really ineffable too what happens when you're like getting messages. It's like an intrusive thought, but instead of, it being you hitting a hamster with a sledgehammer or whatever else weird stuff pops into your brain like mine, it's it's a bunch of messages from the great beyond. All right. Trying to rush to therapy and be chaotic with you guys is hilarious. I hope you're all relaxing. Intermission. I'm back. I'm therapized. Talking about the traumas of surgery and their lasting impact. It's like I had an emergency C-section with my last kid, and the idea of like a scalpel touching my skin again is disgusting. And I'm usually somebody that doesn't care about that sort of stuff. But here we are, paying a professional to talk about it. All right, so we left off at infiltrating messages from Lucas's grandparents, and they were spewing out of my brain and I had no control over it. It was a very unusual experience. Like I said, almost like intrusive thoughts. See, the Husqvarna, when it gets hot, it's like the whole dash crap disappears. But at least it starts. And we were outside, and there was a storm coming, and suddenly I could feel my dad's presence, and like there was almost like a knowing that I was like, and I was not prepared for this. Sure, I've seen every season of Unsolved Mysteries, but look guys, I've never gone to see a medium. It's never crossed my mind. I don't know anything about it. Like I knew about metaphysical channelers, like people who had contact with, I don't know what you would call them, fountains of knowledge when they were in meditative states. God damn, it's too hot to hit another red light. Isn't that weird how this like dash, everything just disappears. It just gets hot, I guess. But I'm not into it. Not into this stuff. I like haunted stuff and creepy stuff and paranormal stuff, but somebody who actually talks to spirits or practices it, that was not in my fucking wheelhouse like at all. Totally unanticipated. My dad comes in full force. I'm not ready. I'm scared. Suddenly there's lightning, thunder. The song on the Bluetooth speaker jumps from the backyard to the Bluetooth speaker indoors, which I thought was turned off. It has never done this before. The speaker inside was turned on. It's like one of those Marshall amps. It was turned on full blast. Ruby's asleep in there. It's pitch black. I run inside trying to turn it off because I'm having this outrageous experience. I look down at my phone and the song that was playing on the speaker outside that had jumped to the one indoors was fucking called Revelation. I think it was Revelation in Limbo. It was a BT Bam song, a Between the Buried and Me song. I should maybe like post some lyrics, or I can splice in a clip of me right here going over the lyrics with you guys, because I freaked the fuck out because I'm having this mystical experience that I can't explain. The song name is eerie as fuck. my dad comes in my brain. Like I'm like, he's fucking here. I don't know what I'm saying. And Lucas is just along for the ride. He's like, okay, my wife is having a psychotic break. I grab my phone because he has a message for my sister, and I just start texting, and I don't remember anything that happened beyond that. I went into like, I don't know, some sort of strange, the best way I could describe it is like a meditative trance. Side note, I've been an avid meditator since I was like in 9th grade, so however old you are then, it's probably been like 20 years I've been meditating. And sometimes I've been in that state where you disappear, like you disappear, my body disappears, my consciousness kind of just melts into the third dimension, and this is the closest I could get to that, but conscious. There, that was my absolute sledgehammer of an experience into mediumship. And the next day, I didn't want to believe what had happened. Like, I wouldn't look at my text messages that my dad had sent to my sister Erica. It took me maybe 3 or 4 days to really process what had happened. Later that day, the day after, I looked and I was like, holy shit. It was his voice, his cadence, his messages. It was nuts. It was almost unbelievable, and I still didn't really believe it. Okay, flash forward to a split timeline. It's gonna be kind of fractured, but that's how weird this whole story is. So I'm getting a tattoo. And you know, when you get a tattoo, it's a big piece on my thigh. I'm talking to the tattoo artist, and he's clearly like on the same wavelength, like believes in the same stuff. We're having a fun conversation. I tell him, I was like, dude, I had this crazy thing happen with the spirit of my dad. And he looks at me and he tells me a story about how he had a military dad. He grew up in the military family. And now his dad like visits him in his dreams, and they communicate, and he always wants to like do drugs and have fun. And he thinks that shit is so funny because he was a military dad. He was very strict and not into having fun in that manner at all. So he's like, you have to talk to Sarah. And I was like, Sarah? He's like, yeah, no, Sarah's fucking legit. Sarah has helped me because, you know, he had some experiences too. And when you have something that you can't explain, you could either sit and pretend like it didn't happen and probably get hemorrhoids, or you try to figure it out. And like me, I'm going to try to figure it out. Like if I can't figure something out, I will stay up all night trying to get it to work. So I'm one of those people. He gives me Sarah's card. Now within that same time frame, my coworker's wife hit me up and she was like, man, I remember you had a bunch of poltergeist activity in your house in 2020. And I've got a buddy who has a podcast called the Night Owl Podcast. And he's just like looking for ghost stories. Could you help him out or whatever? And I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, I never figured out what the poltergeist stuff was. It doesn't happen anymore, but I'm always down to tell a story and help somebody out. Well, I start listening to his podcast, and he has Sarah, the medium, who this tattoo artist recommended to me because she takes on students. She investigates these places and these stories on this podcast. And I was like, oh, well, that's a coincidence I can't ignore. That's too strange. And I start listening to this podcast to get an idea of what I'm getting myself into. And I'm like, oh, holy shit, this chick is like, it's so hard to explain. I know she's like a badass lady from El Paso who does not fuck around. You know, she's not, I don't know what we would typically picture as, you know, I don't know. I picture like a live, love, laugher as some sort of judgmental, stereotypical projection of what I would assume somebody who claims to talk to ghosts. And then we're nearing home because I'm like, oh God, now I've got 800 more stories to tell you guys about what it was like dipping a toe into everybody has this ability. You know, that's the first thing Sarah teaches you. Everybody can do this. We are just incredibly logical, evolved apes who scrub it out. We scrub out, oh, I didn't see anything. Oh, that wasn't anything. Oh, this thought doesn't mean anything. There's also just nobody guiding you like there would be in, say, a different country. Other countries where they take this shit a little bit more seriously, and there's plenty of them. And to them, it's not strange. It's like, oh yeah, you can do the thing that is important. So after that big gong of communicating with my sister, as my dad was like, as I was channeling my dad, I did have a dream with him, but he was unfortunately screaming the whole time, and I didn't quite understand what was going on, but I found out, you know, he could be in the Bardo, which is a place that you go after you die. They celebrate after your loved one's exit ceremony from the Bardo, which I think is really cool. I really think that, you know, we have 10 out of 10 people die, and we have it just bringing ceremony to the dead would make it a little bit more easy for us to process and integrate and talk to our ancestors. I don't think it's as weird as we think it is. I'm so worried about sharing this opinion on the internet because of, like, I don't want to prove to anybody, you know, hey, I talk to dead people. Speaking of dead people, here's an alive baby! Here I am thinking I might have to prove to you guys that this exists, but I rather just tell my story, and I have no interest in proving anything to anybody. Because I just think that technology just isn't up to par with our ability to gather in evidence from another dimension. All right, I gotta go. I'm hungry. Yes, babe.